Oh my goodness. Okay, we're live. Is anybody in the chat right now, Martin?
Yes, a lot of people.
Oh, I see. There's Don, Admiral Teague, Penny, Anima Confusa, Andy Morrow. Oh, you can see them all. They're all watching us. But at some point, we got to go live. So
Yeah. Oh my God, we are live.
my balls are itching. What?
Wow.
It's time for a little Funky Friday. From their funky hidden headquarters, your hosts, Keith and Gerry. Not Jay.
Hey, Peter, does that look like a cue? How about now? All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Oh, good Lord. Here we are. It's another Friday, end of the freaking week. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Everybody going crazy, it seems like.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
I'm not.
you could subtitle this weekend's episode. I mean, not us, but everybody else seemingly, especially with a lot of what we're going to talk about today. Seems like people are going crazy.
People are just losing their minds. Today's show is brought to you by a couple of things. Number one, me reading porn.
Oh, jeez.
And proof that I'm gay.
Wow.
My girlfriend Patty talked me into having a perm. It was terrible.
Oh, jeez.
That's why I look so unhappy in that picture. Look at it. I'm so unhappy.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing you know what? We're going to just move past this and go to something
No.
else.
Oh,
No.
whatever. No, we're staying on it. Martin is here. Martin wants to talk about just how gay I am. How gay am I? I like that game that Seth Rogen and Paul Rudd would play of like, do you know why? Do you know why I know you're gay? You ever seen those videos? They're freaking hilarious. I don't even like Rogan, and I found those really funny. But anyway, it is Friday. It's the end of the week, guys. I hope everybody's having a good Friday so far. We had Tom and Andre were streaming a little bit. I think they're finished now. And after us, you'll have Admiral Teague, and you've got Friday Night Tights, and then you've got Doomcock over on his channel doing Friday Night Frolics. It'll be a fun night for everybody. And that one will go on all night. I think he streams until like 11 o'clock.
Wow.
5 hours. I'm like, I don't know how he does that. It's ridiculous. It's the equivalent to Sting's tantric sex.
No.
Right?
Oh.
It's tantric streaming.
I would not, yeah. Well,
oh, come on, it's a thing. It's a thing.
You know what? I've heard things, but
I've heard things.
I've heard things.
I know nothing. I see nothing. So, but anyway, it's been fun week and frustrating week. I'm so stressed out over some of the political stuff going on. For the first time in the history of our America since the pact was made, we just announced that we're not going to support Taiwan. That's a treaty we signed, an agreement, and we're suddenly going to just forget it and let China do whatever it's going to do. That freaks me out.
Yeah.
So then you look at all the other stuff going on with entertainment, and in fact, you had shared with me some memes, and we looked into it, and neither of the memes panned out. It doesn't look like they mean anything. One's a parody, and there's just nothing on
Yeah.
Denzel Washington, Clint Eastwood, and who else was it that was mentioned in that meme?
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson again? Because I know it's Mel Gibson and Mark Wahlberg were supposedly going to do an anti-woke studio. That ended up, that's nothing. It's not a thing. And then the other thing with Clint Eastwood and Denzel starting a new actors guild. I can't find anything on it. There's nothing. So we won't be talking about that. Although I think it's interesting that my buddy Script Doctor sent me some messages, and I'll go ahead and read them to you in regard to some of it. I'm not going to read the Mel Gibson thing. It's not important, but the Roy Thomas thing, which we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
Here's what Script Doctor had to say. I think Roy Thomas is trying to add his stamp on Wolverine. It is odd for a number of reasons. The first being that Marvel would have to pay him royalties, which is odd since they spent years trying to deny Kirby and Lee's estates for their involvement in the creation of Wolverine. Second, Gower confuses what an editor of a newspaper does with what an editor of a publishing company does. Editors don't issue stories for the works that are published. They edit them, primarily for the spelling, grammar, and structure. Having actually worked in the publishing field for over 7 years, I know this to be a fact. So I don't know what Gower saw or read or heard, but what he describes Stan Lee doing is writing, not editing. I would say it's good writing. And if he's coming up with bare bones ideas and giving that to an artist to run with, which is the Marvel method, which was give you a basic script with no dialogue, go do the artwork. There's just a basic rundown. You do it the way you want to.
Yeah.
Which kind of puts the artist in the writing position. I wouldn't say it was good writing, but if he's coming up with the bare bone ideas and giving that to an artist to run with, then he fills out the story afterwards. That's still writing. It's a form of comic book sign language where one party speaks in a limited medium and another translates for the overall audience. Should Roy Thomas get credit for Wolverine? No. Script Doctor says that. No. That has already been decided and clearly made public. The fact that Marvel did this is incredibly perplexing. And I agree with Script Doctor on that. Absolutely agree.
The only thing that would make sense, in my opinion, about that would be if Roy Thomas has basically gone through all the struggle sections and is willing to do whatever it is as far as being woke or whatever.
Well, let's get into the crux of this, because there's a video of him, 10 seconds of him at San Diego Comic-Con, where he is clearly in 2013 trying to lay a foundation that he was directly involved with the creation of Wolverine.
Yes.
And he's saying that he's the one who decided that he was Canadian, and he was the one that says, and he's absolutely going to be called Wolverine.
Yeah.
So he's saying two things, that he's the one who decided he was Canadian, and he's the one who decided that he was called Wolverine.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it looks like he's been laying that foundation since 2013, maybe even going back a little
Maybe
further.
going back further, who knows?
But
he was doing it under the radar to where people like Stan Lee, that was still alive at the time, and other guys that were still alive,
didn't notice.
It was so small and minute that nobody took notice of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna find that article real quick, because it's a really good article. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna read it. Is that okay with you, Keith?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Chuck Gower over on the Marvel Method is the one who published it. I'm gonna put it on screen. There we go. So this is where it's published at, the Marvel Method. And I really should join the group. I'm joining it right now. Because David Williams and a bunch of my friends are in there. I guess you're in there too, right?
No, I'm not. I just randomly found it. I should go ahead and join the group myself.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to be a good friend, and I'm going to invite you, but not Martin.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll invite Martin too.
Look at my avatar, Gerry. Look at
Oh, is that bacon? Bacon
no,
bits?
that is chop liver.
Oh, it's chopped liver. What am
You
I?
are-
Chopped liver.
You are anything but that, Martin.
You can have beef liver. It's kosher. The Marvel method, as he posed. Recently, I was reading what Will Bryan had put together about Roy Thomas Houseroy and his right-hand partner in historical manipulation, John Cimino. Roy wants to become co-creator of Wolverine, or rather has become. Marvel greenlit the whole idea pretty easily, and to me, that is what says everything about this event. See, Houseroy, as an editor, wants to be seen as what they call first sayer. According to him, he got the idea of wanting to have, and this is what was in at the San Diego Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to have the character that was Canadian and who is called Wolverine, and thus he is considered the originator of the idea. Keep in mind, nobody loves the character of Wolverine because of his name being Wolverine, or because he's Canadian, or really even that he looks like in the silly bright yellow costume. His popularity grew because of what Chris Claremont and John Byrne did with the character in the pages of the X-Men a number of years later. He was also, look, I cannot, John Romita Jr. has to be brought up here. Or was it John Romita that drew him? 73, right?
Yeah,
Or
John
74.
Romita and Lin Wynn.
Wynn, right.
Yeah.
So, see, back in the 40s, as much as Lee wants to pretend like he was a real writer, he was a real writer. I don't agree with this guy even remotely. He wasn't. Yes, he was. He was an editor, which means he's a writer. He did a little bit of writing here and there, so he's a writer. He's saying it right here. He did a little bit of writing. Well, that makes him a writer. Nothing that anyone would pay attention to as special or landmark. What? I think this is a bridge too far, this statement right here. He primarily was a dude who had a job because of nepotism. There's nothing he did in the 40s that really benefited the company that can be seen, and that extends into the 50s. He was surrounded by creative people who made comics. Well, we didn't really see much from them at that point. It wasn't until the 60s that Marvel took off.
Mm-hmm.
Am I not correct?
Well, I mean,
with the creation of the Fantastic Four.
The Marvel that is more worldwide known began in the 60s.
And that's directly related still to the creative mind of Stan Lee.
Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
Yeah. So just, I believe more on the Kirby, less on the Stan Lee, but still Stan Lee. So he's trying to take something away from it. I don't agree with this. And again, none of it is anything that anyone really notices. What did we just say? Stan oversaw the editors who were doing the creating. He was meaning that he's a writer manager. That's what an editor does in a comic publishing company. He is a managing writer. He was a Goodman go-between, handling the business of making sure others were doing their job. Well, again, he has to understand writing to be able to do that. Occasionally, he might have come up with an idea and given it to somebody. From that, he's saying he did this, but then in the next second, he's saying it didn't matter. And I'm like, yeah, it matters. From what we know, he handed out scripts to some. That's what editors do. But in general, 95% of what was done was not written by Stan Lee. That could be argued. I'm just saying, that's just his opinion. When the implosion happened and it looked like Goodman was going to close the comic book portion of the business down at the very least, and make no mistake, the proof is out there. Goodman was going to shut the comics down, plain and simple. As that, Stan had nowhere else to go. Goodman had no one else to rely on. And the reasoning behind it was very simple. Stan Lee was an editor of editors. That's not true. That's patently not true. He wasn't a writer. Yes, he was. You even said he's a writer. Sure, he had written some story. You just said it again. Oh my fucking God. Are you seeing my frustration with this?
Yeah.
But mainly, he just gave ideas to some of the people. That's what writers do. They write down ideas and give them to other people. They're still written down and tell them to do the real work. He certainly wasn't then. In the aftermath of the implosion, someone who was going to save the company, he just didn't have the talent or the means to be able to do that and keep things going. Well, he couldn't do the artwork, obviously. So Goodman, look, a comic company is nothing without the artist.
Mm-hmm.
So enter Jack Kirby. At least got that part right. Kirby could and did save Marvel Comics with the help of Stan Lee. He could and did write and draw his own stories. He would lay them out. There's a difference in what we do as artists. We don't actually write, we draw them out.
Whoa.
And
Yeah. But hold on. I think for this part, let me at least correct something.
Okay.
One of the reasons why there is such a disagreement between Kirby and Stan Lee is that Kirby himself said he did writing. That was one of his early jobs.
Well, I don't doubt it for a second because he's a very creative dude.
Yeah,
on his own.
What he did was what his thing was is that Stan was so busy launching Marvel in the 60s or relaunching Marvel in the 60s. There were times for certain issues, not all, that Kirby basically did pretty much his job and the writing job also. And that what Stan would do sometimes is that he would correct a word or two sometimes if they were really in a hurry to put an issue out, but would never give Lee any credit for any writing at all. And that was what Jack had an issue with, which was just being placed in that box where he was just an artist only. And so when he worked for DC and did a bunch of stuff that got Stan
Which was
Lee's
not
attention,
his best work. And you and I
true,
know
but
that.
it was enough to get Stan Lee's attention.
Yeah.
Working on Fantastic Four because of what he had done with Challengers of the Unknown. That was the real inspiration for Fantastic Four, was the DC Comics work that he had done for Challengers of the Unknown. And then not really realizing that as DC created their own version of Fantastic Four, the Doom Patrol, and that became successful, and then creating X-Men on that. So it's really all just taken from what Jack Kirby had done.
Okay, so let me get back to this article.
But yes.
Let me get back to the article. So Kirby could and did save Marvel Comics. He could and did write and draw his own stories. And at first, that's exactly what he did. No one thought anything of it at the time because they were on the verge of going out of business. And they did close doors for a short period. You and I talked about that.
Yes.
As soon as the Fantastic Four became a success, the company started to think about it in terms of ownership of creativity. Was that Stan? Maybe. Most likely it's originated from Goodman. He was the one who cheated Kirby and Simon out of the Captain America originally. Maybe he taught Stan, and we know that story. That's a fucked up story about Captain America. An interesting quote from writer Leon Lazarus that I just recently read on Wikipedia. Quote, Goodman started pressuring editor-in-chief and head writer Stan Lee to have other writers do some of the stories. He wasn't sold on the Marvel method of doing stories in which writers would supply artists with a plot synopsis rather than full script, which is, if you read a script, let me make sure I have that highlighted there so I can come back to it, because a lot of people don't know how scripts work. When you write a script, it's like a screenplay for a comic book. You write one page per page is the rule of thumb. Alan Moore ignored that. He put way too much direction in his comic. All you're supposed to do is basic information for each panel description, and you write the number of panels, and then you write dialogue in there. That's the standard way of doing it. But Marvel started the process of just writing down without doing the breakdown of panels
Yeah.
of what was happening, and it would just write an entire 22-page synopsis, comic book into about 3 or 4 pages
Yeah.
of synopsis, and it was up to the comic artist to figure out where I'm gonna draw what and how I'm gonna lay it out for the action and what have you. So, let's go back to this. Allowing artists to tell the stories visually narrative with it in the visual narrative, he didn't put that. Tell the stories in the visual narrative with their own pacing and details. Man, his grammar. He became concerned that Stan would have too much leverage over him, and he worried about what would happen if Stan ever decided to leave the company. Goodman wanted other writers as a backup in case he needed them, so he ordered Stan to use other writers. Goodman told Stan to have Leon write stories. Stan called me up and asked if I was willing to come in and work there again. I didn't want to say no because I was working for Goodman's magazine and men's magazine and didn't want to lose the account. I only did the one story because I wasn't comfortable with the way Stan wanted writers to work with the artist, though I see now how right he was. Stan was right because I think it does work.
Yeah.
Writing out the scene and then figuring out the dialogue later with what room is left on the page after the artwork. I think that's actually an interesting way of doing it. I think you can still do panel by panel breakdowns without the dialogue because the artist doesn't really need that. What he needs is what's happening. So the Marvel method wasn't created out of Stan having too many stories to write. I suspect that Stan rarely, if ever, actually wrote a script. That's, again, his opinion. He doesn't know. If he did, I doubt, again, this is him and his personal opinion, doubt it was a regular basis. I suspect that he really didn't even write synopses, that he alone, there's zero evidence to support what he's saying here. I suspect he'd have a meeting or phone call with an artist and push them for an idea. He's acting like that's nothing. Oh, I have meetings all the time as an artist with writers, and they'll give me some direction of what they want. That's something. It's not nothing. It's something.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
So maybe interject some stuff like, what if the Human Torch guest stars? That's not part of the process. That's just a suggestion of, well, maybe we can bring this character in and we can have him do this. This guy is really biased in a way. He's very anti-Stan Lee. And look, there's room to criticize Stan Lee. Realistic about it, for God's sakes.
You don't have to make anything up. I mean, there's enough stuff out there and enough people who have had disagreements with Stan on certain issues. You know, you don't really need to pad anything out.
This whole thing is an attack on Stan Lee. But in the process, Stan Lee would be one of the biggest witnesses against what, what's his name, Roy Thomas was doing.
Yes. Well, that's the reason why he had to wait until Stan was gone. Because until Stan was gone, because Roy Thomas knew that Stan would be able to call him out based on what he's describing. So
with Wolverine, exactly. Now we know, what year was it? It was early on. He moved to Hollywood, and that was in 68, 69,
69.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're talking about Stan Lee because Stan Lee, he saw the future, was in Hollywood.
Well,
and he went there to push Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because that was a great cartoon. It's badly animated as it was still fucking great. And it's got a theme that lasts to this damn day. And I love that at the ending of stuff, he would add his voice into the endings of what shows did that start with? Where he would say Excelsior.
I think really he was doing it to a lot of the animated shows they had in the 60s anyway. So that became his big thing in Hollywood, which was to, for Captain America, for Iron Man, for Thor, for the Fantastic Four, and for the Spider-Man series, he would lend his voice. And then as soon as things were made possible for him to move out to the coast, he ended up trying to negotiate other things. Although,
because he wanted to be just about the entertainment side. That's really what
yeah,
Stanley
but
was all about.
I don't think he immediately moved out there. I think what had happened was Jack had already moved out there. He was already sending in whatever
Kirby.
work he had. Yeah, Jack Kirby
Oh,
had
okay.
moved out to the coast already. And he told people, hey, join me out here. It's great. You know, Stan, by the time he got out there, tried to make a go of trying to negotiate for future projects, and he was not very good at it. That's part of the reason why everything got so badly messed up when they were trying to create Marvel Studios and trying to buy back characters. A lot of that extends from a lot of the bad deals that were made because Stan didn't know how to make those kinds of deals.
Didn't
on
know
that
how to
level.
do those. That's right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get to that soon, guys. We're gonna get to what Doomcock said, get to the whole thing with Skydance and Star Trek. But we're going over this thing with Roy Thomas because this is problematic
Yeah,
as
it's
we move
serious
forward in the
business.
future because it's revisionist history,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sick to death of revisionism. I just
Right?
hate revisionism. So here is 2013. Roy Thomas, with no major personalities there to argue with him, saying what he said. That was brought up in that little article.
No, because comics had always gone all over the country. They weren't reaching any. In fact, with Marvel, if they hadn't been distributed by DC, they wouldn't have had any distribution at all. You know, so. But they were going all over. No, they weren't really thinking about individual places. You know, they just did it. You know, I mean, that's why I had to come up with the idea of Wolverine, because if somebody heard it, this is like in 1974.
You hear that?
We have all these Canadian readers. Because if somebody heard it, this was Wolverine. The idea I had to come up with the idea of Wolverine, because they just did it. You know, I mean, that's why I had to come up with the idea of Wolverine, because if somebody heard it, this is like in 1974. We have all these Canadian readers. You know, we haven't got a single Canadian character. So I told Larry Ween, I said, call him Wolverine. He's Canadian. He's short and he's spicy. Everything else is up to you.
And they just applaud.
Yeah.
It's just shocking that he got away with that.
Mm-hmm. Well, people like being around celebrities, big names. You know, to have Roy Thomas there, given what he was able to do for Marvel, yeah, you need him or want him to sign all your comics. Of course, you're going to applaud anything. I mean, short of saying that he hated Stan Lee or anything like that, which would have been career suicide for him. He could have said just about anything and gotten applause for it. You know, people don't think like that because people, you know, especially fans, you want to believe that these are good people for the most part, just wanting to entertain, just creating comic books. And you're not thinking about all the different ways that it happens that people get taken. You know, that's the whole thing about what this is, what Stan Lee's been accused of, even going back to what I had forwarded to you when I was on vacation in Hawaii about what Jim Steranko was talking about with the creation of the character, the Spirit. You know, but it turns out that there's a lot of people in the business that do this. They revise things, they get people to sign things so they can change how things go and get more money for themselves. There's a lot of greedy people within the comic book industry. And I'm sure you've heard your share of stories about things that have happened to people that have been taken advantage of, as I have too. And it's unfortunate when it happens. Look, I'm not saying that Roy Thomas is an evil person or anything like that. All I'm saying is that, dude, you had years to say something. Okay? You've had a long, long time to say anything. Especially, most importantly, how come you didn't say anything when the X-Men animated series hit back in the 90s? How come
Yeah, why is this just coming out now while everybody's dying?
How
Or
come
gone already?
How come you waited and didn't say anything when they put out the first X-Men movie? And then all of the subsequent X-Men movies that came out after. Or if this really was important to you, how come you didn't get your name on it when they had the Wolverine solo movies? If this was truly important to you, if this is really what the truth was, you should have been saying something long before this. Now, he could make an argument that the people that were running Marvel at that time knew that he had a different opinion on it, knew he couldn't really prove it in a way that would get, in a way that would be possible to win any court case. So they just told him, no, we're not going to do that. And probably, this is an opportune moment for him. Everybody is, quote unquote, safely dead. Anybody that could...
Conveniently dead. I'm not saying he killed them, but I think Roy Thomas is guilty of murder.
I wouldn't go that far. I think it's
Come
just
on, let's go that far.
I just think that I really do believe that Roy and his hype man have been working this angle for quite a while, and that things have gotten to a point to where the people who are currently running Marvel, who aren't necessarily people who have been invested within Marvel for as long as many fans have, he probably either signed something or made a deal with them on some level, and made it easy enough for Disney and the current people running Marvel to just say, okay. It's that simple, which is unfortunate and kind of ironic because Disney is getting ready to induct someone who is really the poster child for not basically trusting a lot of people within the business. Steve Ditko is about ready to be inducted into the Disney Hall of Fame, which follows, them already inducting both Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And it seems ironic that Roy Thomas is basically now got the go-ahead to do this in the same year that Steve Ditko is being inducted. Because Steve Ditko probably would have came out of
there's a little bit of jealousy, do you?
And Steve Ditko would have come back from the grave just to tell Roy Thomas he's full of it,
Now, I've got this other video by Maxfield Von Priestley.
Yes.
A lot of you guys know who he is. This is an interesting little point he has here.
Yes.
Most comic fans debate on whether Wolverine's first appearance was in Hulk 180 or Hulk 181, but what if I told you that it was neither? In the early 1970s, Friends of Old Marvel magazine, abbreviated to FOOM, published by Marvel and designed by Jim Steranko, began to print fan art and fan mail within its pages, and in 1973, FOOM issue number 2 published the winners of a fan art
Andy Olson
competition, which included this illustration. The drawing by Andy Olson displays a character called the Wolverine, who seems to have some sort of metal skeleton under his skin and a tiger stripe on his face mask. A year later, in 1974, editor Roy Thomas and writer Len Wein would publish Hulk 180 and 181, featuring the old knucklehead himself fighting off against the Incredible Hulk. So could this fan art truly be the first appearance of Wolverine as we know and love him today? Do you think that Marvel used this fan art as inspiration to design a new character for their stories? Let me know in the comment section below, and as always, thanks for watching.
There you go.
Well,
interesting point.
Yeah. But if that's
I see point. Zax is here. Is Tim here too?
No. But it is for
Hey, fuck you, Kyle.
There you go. Waiting for someone to be named Max von Sit Down. I see Shanatsky is here. He's probably at work though right now.
Nevertheless,
said that he kills people or some shit.
He doesn't kill people. He just buries them.
He buries them. Is that what it is? Oh my god. Oh my god. Let's see. Michael Decker. Let's go through some of these comments. I got a bunch of them starred here. First off, Kingsport Cal is here. Well, what's up, buddy? Gary, YouTube is trying to remove you from my algorithm. I had to ring the bell again for all the notifications. It happens all the time, buddy. Look, YouTube doesn't like us, doesn't like Doomcock, doesn't like any of us that say things that are contrarian to the things they believe and support. I
Want to know something?
channel
They
to
hate the
find
fact that
the
a black
stream.
guy gets to say this.
Yeah. So thanks again, Kingsport Cal. Always glad you're around. And I mean that. Read by nature. I caught R&B stream on him. I think Rob does mention he read some of the guy's writing, but he wasn't a creative at Marvel. So there's shenanigans here.
Yeah. Well, there's enough to make you just say, you know,
Things that make you go, According to my good frenemy and fellow Super Sentai fan, Overlord DVD, we do know that person. Isn't his name Doomcock?
Dun, dun, dun.
If Skydance Media buys Paramount Global, including Star Trek Universe, then Alex Kurtzman may be out for good. I think R&B needs to be in. I think he needs to be the guy running it.
I think. Well, we'll get. Yeah,
I'm not just saying that because we know him. I'm saying it because the guy knows Star Trek and he loves Star Trek.
Yeah,
I still find it funny, according to Read by Nature, that Aerosmith covered the '60s song, Spider-Man song, in the Sam Raimi film, despite their guitarists having done the '90s theme tune, and it's true. But I don't think it's strange. I think it's kind of cool. Get that double connection. Don Power Ranger is here. Pop Culture Minefield. Well, I must go now. Thank you all. Have a great weekend and enjoy the Go Go Loser Ranger anime and the Solar Eclipse R&B Star Trek for Star Trek hashtag, and then of course hashtag Super Sentai Forever. We love you, Don. Have a good weekend yourself, my friend. You're a good dude. Read by nature. Though that may be more due to the fact that Raimi was a '60s fan first and foremost. Well, we know that's true.
Oh yeah, that is
he grew up on the actual first Spider-Man comics.
Steve Ditko and Stan Lee, and no, that was really what he was attempting to do. All his films, his idea of those movies.
He doesn't even know who Venom is.
Yeah. He had no interest in bringing Venom. He was made to put Venom in that film. But as I've said before, if you go back over the entire movie of Spider-Man 3, you can easily remove Venom from that film as far as script-wise and almost have the plot that Raimi was wanting to tell from the beginning.
It's so fun that you say that, because when Mac, Zoe and I went to see that movie in the theater, we walked out saying that movie would be a great movie if they just simply edit out all the Venom stuff. I mean, it would have just been so good. The whole dancing thing gone.
Yeah, you would have had a film that focused on the disintegration of the relationship between Peter and his best friend. But also
they needed a third one because
Avi.
No, because of his buddy in the film. Franco played him.
Yeah.
The character's name.
Yeah.
Just escaped me.
Now
Harry Osborn.
Harry Osborn. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. But no.
Osborn was flying around. Yeah. I think that the character they should have brought in as the third character, still part of the Sinister Six, would have been the Vulture, because he was an early villain.
Yeah,
I've always loved that character.
Sony didn't want to do it. Sony did not like the Vulture. The people that were running Sony did not like that character at all. They fought against having any version of him in there.
They already introduced the character was the Lizard.
Yeah. So, what you had for Spider-Man 3 was just going to be the Hobgoblin originally, and Goblin 2, and Sandman, And so that was really what the original plot was to focus on that. And then the effect it would have on Peter and MJ's relationship. And so those were your 3 story points there.
You want to address that, Keith, real quick?
R&B like Discovery? You know what? R&B likes Discovery like any person would, like any regular human being would love to just eat a bucket of you-know-what.
He doesn't love Discovery, to my knowledge. I've heard him really criticize the shit out of it. Let's see. I wanted to put this up on screen again. Real Wed Nation Gaming clip. Here is Keith's Twitter, Gotham at Gotham66.
You know, Raid, you can actually have a better time of getting a hold of me on Instagram at Keith Movie Geek. That's just the
but he was asking about Twitter.
I know. You'd have a better time of getting a
I
hold
tag
of me
him on there. He's hardly ever on Twitter. I post like a lot of porn images going, wow. Keith, is this you? Keith, is this you? Black guys in porn.
Oh, wow.
So another one I starred was he's getting old and needs to pad his legacy with ego. There you go. Yeah, that's what Roy Thomas is doing. He's trying to jump in and get some credit for shit he didn't fucking do. Now, I'm not saying he wasn't directly involved with stuff. Maybe he did suggest that, but he's not the one who ran with it.
Yeah.
If you throw a pass, you get credit. But if you toss that ball, do a handoff behind the line of scrimmage, the star is the person who takes it through the line of scrimmage.
You got that right.
You know that as well as I do. I love sports metaphors. It's the person that carries that ball through the line of scrimmage that matters. If you throw the pass, a bomb, it doesn't matter. There you get credit. But if you just do a handoff, you do not fucking get credit for that play. Let's see. I mean, as opposed to just doing the 90s team as a band. I just think it's neat. Either way it goes, that he did it.
Yeah.
Oh, of course you will be, King. We appreciate you, Cal.
As of right now, nobody has changed the Wikipedia entry, so it's still Lin Wynn and John Romita Sr.
Lin Wynn. People who, it's not quite an alliteration, but people with rhyming names. Sam Ham is one of them. Just annoy me. People like that just annoy me. Bush with Campy is an interesting fellow. He's interesting, like having anal warts is interesting.
Oh, jeez.
Kurtzman is the Philadelphia Flyers of media. I'd like him to be a flyer.
Kurtzman has problems.
Wookie. Okay. Bush, you need to get off the fucking cocaine. That's all I got to say. Just make sure Lucy isn't holding the ball. It won't go anywhere if you're Charlie Brown. I don't know about that. I mean, I think I still have that video somewhere, don't I? Is that in this group? Where's it at? I think it's on Military Monday. Let me go in that folder real quick. Where is that video? Where did I put it? Is it in the main one?
Don't know.
The video of Peter taking the ball away from Lucy.
Don't know.
Where'd it go? Because he was in there. I used it the other day. Now it's gone. Saturday Fun Time is still in there. There it is.
Okay, that is the last time you are going to pull that crap. You hear me?
Yes.
Do you hear me? Roadhouse.
I love that video.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Bush, I got that. The John Campia woke thing. Yeah. John Campia, look, John Campia.
Yeah, there you go. That's the word. Fuckwit. Thank you.
He's an interesting personality and someone who works with my other twin brother, Robert.
Don't sex it up, Keith.
I'm
Stop
not
sexing it up. No, he's a fuckwit. We do not respect his opinion on a motherfucking thing.
Said nothing about his opinion. He just works with my other twin brother.
There was a time that I kind of got into him, But once he went total woke and got stupid, he's pointless. He's useless. Useless as tits on a boar, as my dad would say. Gerry, backdoor harder than Roadhouse sequel.
That's all yours, man.
There are funny clips of Campia reading out joke screen names from chat. Oh God, really? Where it's like when Bart Simpson calls the bar, giving fake names that when you put them together, it says something dirty. If DC wants to get excited to do a snow flame film, he's powered by cocaine and it's great.
Okay, look who's here and he's angrily asking, Jesus, I don't have a respite here. There you have it, Tim.
By what name are you known?
There are some who call me
Barley Bob?
Tim.
Wow.
So did somebody else pop in? I saw Tim do.
Yes, the Peter Bang fan site.
Oh, Mombi's here. Hello, Mombi.
Yeah, I'm looking for Mombi and I don't see him. Oh, there's Mombi. Okay, I see Mombi. There you go. Good to see you, Sci-Fi Mombi.
Mombi revealed that she lives in Springfield.
Who?
Mombi reveals they live in Springfield.
Oh, then they need to come hang out with us. We need to go do a hangout.
That's what we should do. We should find a place, a business that would allow us to hang out and just hang out with people.
We know one place that would let us hang out is 1984, but they have no drink and food.
Yeah.
So we have to go find some place. E. Clay Thomason is here too.
Uh-oh. That is right up to you.
I don't know anything funny with E. Clay Thomason.
His mama named him Clay. I'm going to call him Clay.
Yeah, I'm not the only one here. You guys can fucking help. Jesus Christ. Luis Feliciano, are you guys excited for the upcoming SNL? Yes, we are.
Yes. Yes.
We are both very excited. Oh, look, my good buddy, Bat Steven Seagal is here.
I'm only here to say hi for a little bit because Gary's gay.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
He's gay for COVID.
I am totally gay.
Yes.
How are you, buddy?
Hey, guys, don't forget
to
click that like button right now.
I am live.
Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and hit that bell icon so you get updates. And always check to make sure that it stays checked because YouTube is turning that shit off on people.
That is true.
They're liars. They're liars, I see.
Well, I thought I'd pop in and say how you guys are doing while still in our game stream on Rumble. So
yeah, okay. Joe Flaherty is another thing we wanted to talk about. And oddly, JFG now. It's like, what are we supposed to call you now?
You can't hear Steven? Well,
yeah,
that's racist.
Why are you so quiet?
You have a...
Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Hold on, let me turn you up.
Oh. Nope.
No, it's really weird.
I don't know. StreamYard hates me.
Oh,
now.
Whoa.
Sorry, StreamYard hates me, guys. I don't know what's going on.
Wow.
You sound good now.
Thank you.
So, I just saw somebody said that's racist.
Oh, jeez.
It is racist.
So, what are your thoughts on all of that with what we were talking about with Roy Thomas wanting to take credit for Wolverine?
What do you mean?
Roy Thomas, former senior editor at Marvel.
Okay.
Wants to take credit now.
The guy who took over
Stanley.
The guy who took over Stanley's job at Marvel wants to be given credit after all these years as a co-creator of Wolverine.
Was he an actual creator?
No.
Then why would you give him shit?
Well, because Marvel just informed one of the creator's wives, who is a lawyer, that this guy's name is going to be added to the credits as a co-creator. Thus, Instead of a check going to 2 people to split, it now has to be split 3 ways.
Oh. Well, was this like Kevin Feige's decision, or is it just more people smoking crack?
Take your pick.
See, crack involves an investment. Wow. Kevin Feige. Oh, no, I don't know. I don't know. If he didn't help create it, he shouldn't get credit. It's like an intern going, "You should put Wolverine in it," and he gets a producer credit. It's the same shit.
That's technically what he's saying. That's basically what Roy Thomas now is saying. Is basically that was his contribution to the creation of the character.
So if I take a crap, I should get credit for the poop emoji.
Sure.
That sounds
Go
asinine.
claim it.
That sounds asinine.
In fact, I'll tell you, it looks like the method that he used is if you spend the next 5 to 10 years crediting yourself, going into different shows, and just, not doing a lot of talking, but if you keep dropping hints or at least statements that, hey, I'm the co-creator of the poop emoji, and nobody stops you from saying it for about 5 to 7 years to 10 years, yeah, then magically, it's true.
That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
But they don't have to make sense.
Well, I can tell that by the multiverse, but yeah.
The multiverse of madness. We'll give it a real cool name.
I don't know, man. Everything with this pop culture stuff has become just a repetitive cycle of just destroying the foundations of what keeps society into escapism. And I think we're just going to keep going down until eventually either they die or someone pushes them out a window.
Wow.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
man.
No, I mean, it gets tiring after a while. It does.
And now the biggest blow up right now is dealing with the Gamergate 2 fiascos and all of that crap. DEI is a cancer, but it is a cancer in the regressive nature of society. We're already seeing that with Marvel, Disney, Star Trek, and other Paramount crap that's out there. It's just it's not hard to keep a positive vibe. But we're so surrounded by negativity because no matter what, it seems to be an ongoing slap in the face.
Yeah.
And I've made it clear that until we see a drastic change, I'm not going to involve myself in worrying about what's going on with Disney, Disney Marvel, Disney anything Star Wars. I don't care. I don't want what they're doing. I don't care for it, and I'm tired of giving them energy.
It's tuned out. It's tuning out. It's pretty much where
I'm tuning out.
That's why we said it was something about Roy Thompson. I was like, what? I didn't know. I live in the video game
This
world,
is the
Gerry.
comics, though. And this is back when comics was good. We're good.
I mean, when there was boobs weren't offended. People weren't offended by boobs.
Dude, Luis Feliciano has just become a member. Thank you, Luis.
Wow, thank you very much.
Thank you, Luis.
We should give him a nice video. What should we play for him?
God help us all.
Oh. Are you leaving that in my hands? Oh.
Yeah, yes, my thing.
That was a bad call, but
Zax. Member for 29 months. So what do we play for new members? Oh, there we go.
Oh no. It's not the official one for new members, but it's a good one.
Answer the goddamn question. When are you coming?
Hopefully within the next 48 hours.
48 hours?
I realize you must have gone through hell.
Gone? Bitch, we still here.
I love that video.
Thank you, Luis. We really do appreciate it.
And Zax has been a member for 29 months.
Wow, Zax, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, but it was guilt sex for leaving us.
And for sex, I have this one.
No! And that's from Anima to you, Zax.
He felt bad for breaking up and going to do his own thing, and so he just, I'll get a membership. I'll make up for it.
That's kind of weird.
We love Zach. He's my
man.
buddy. He is my buddy. E. Clay Thomason, Ernie Hudson is such an underrated actor. I love that guy's work. And he's a really nice guy. Keith and I have both met him. Very, very down-to-earth man.
And again, I have to echo what a lot of people have been saying. Right now, he looks good for his age. I would have never clocked him as someone in
Looks
their
good,
70s.
huh? Look at you.
He looks good for his age. 70? I wish I could look that good at 70. I'm barely holding it together now. Whatever he's having.
I'll have what he.
Maybe he should attend more black guy meetings. Maybe I'll find out the secret.
Yeah. That's the problem, man. You're not attending the meetings religiously.
I know.
You're supposed to.
That's because
that's how I keep my intel.
He always gets late when he appears. Everybody's gone.
What do you mean? No, I'm usually breaking the rules by being a little bit early. That's rule one.
There is medications for that, Keith, if you're coming up early.
But
oh,
ouch!
Sorry.
I know, and I should not be mad because
nothing really to be mad about. It's all good.
Nope.
So shall we get into Doomcock's video, or shall we? Well, we have 4 minutes, so let's wait until the second hour to get into it.
I have another one for you. Let me run the ad right now, 4 minutes earlier, and then we can go full throttle.
Tip top of the hour.
Amen.
Yes, we are time traveling here.
Just the tip.
Okay, and with that, we'll see you after the ad.
Meet the Seattle Vigilante. Like so many comic heroes, this warrior hides his identity. But his identity isn't the only secret he has to keep. After grievous wounds received during combat, Tier 1 operator John Russell begins to recover and comes to terms with his new reality of being an amputee. And as he learns how to use his new prosthetic limb, he finds himself caught up in the bureaucratic red tape that too many wounded veterans experience, the exhausting medboard process. Out of sheer frustration, John takes it out on the criminal scum of the city. But when reality kicks in, John realizes he started something that's having an impact on the greater world around him, and thus has to reevaluate his motives. And moreover, just how far is John willing to go to finish this war he's declared against the criminals in Seattle? And will he even survive? From the creator of IDW's award-winning graphic novel Code Word Geronimo comes a new story about a different kind of warrior, Vindicated Inc., the first of its kind disabled veteran action hero comic. The Vindicated Inc. graphic novel crowdfunding campaign on fundmycomic.com is provided in the description of this video. We hope you become a contributor. Please share this link. Thank you.
There you go. And by the way, Kyle was saying that whenever Keith says that, you should play this.
Oh, yeah. Get into the meeting.
But I say play this.
Yeah.
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 Sometimes I get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know. My wrath, my blood boils over like.
Dude, is that copyrighted?
Oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling
nope.
from my head to my toes. There's some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things. Realize something needs change.
This is in effect.
Cause I know you got me up. Let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back.
That's some good stuff, man. I like in effect. We use a lot of their music, and it's through YouTube, so we can't get called on it. So
almost sounds like flannel rock.
And I was so quick. I found that song and I put it on your theme. So I gave you a theme. You got your own theme.
I know, and I enjoy it.
Well, every good hero should have one.
Is it Boys
That's
to Men?
what. That's the video. Yeah, I'm watching what's going on with Steven right now. It's
Oh, I'm
looking
sorry.
fucking cool. What are we playing? What is this?
This is the closed beta test 3 for Once Human. So if you're into like SCP, X-Files, kind of sci-fi, horror, MMO, crafting and stuff.
I'm wanting to play that cop game.
Oh yeah.
Like
But
it's
catch and release?
the cam.
No.
It's called something cam whatever that's called, the cam they wear.
Body.
James Caserta.
Actually have
Hello.
I have a video somewhere for that. Oh, here it is. Here you go.
Hey, Jess.
Moist.
Hopefully that does something for you.
Moist.
See?
Moist.
Animal loves your video.
Moist.
How about
by the way, does anybody have a birthday this week?
No.
In the chat. Shut up, Steven. Play your
You
fucking
didn't
game.
say in the chat. You said, does anyone have a birthday this week?
Yeah, somebody has a fucking birthday this
How would
week.
I know that when you ask as a out loud question? Racist.
Shut up!
Exactly, Gary. Shut up.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
Well, if anybody's having a birthday this week, here you go.
Happy fucking birthday!
So much rage.
Yeah, but Sly can do that.
Rage is good for you. Anger's healthy. I don't care. Anger management. Fuck that. Learn how to express your damn self. It's okay to let some shit loose every once in a while. Just don't fucking get violent.
Sorry.
What's the point of getting enraged if you don't get violent?
I don't want to be violent. But I do want to express myself and have people shut the fuck up when I'm doing it. And he loved that clip. What's this, Anima? What are we talking about?
The Sly, because it's his fourth brother's.
Well, there you go. There you go. Tell him I played a video for him.
And tell him hello.
Welcome, Michael Decker.
Hey, yes, you're right. Big Mike is right. It's our good buddy Michael Decker.
Happy birthday, Batman. Happy birthday, Batman. Happy birthday, oh Batman. Happy birthday. That was pretty good.
That was. Panties.
So let's see. What do we got going here? Let's go ahead and get into this shit.
Go. Okay.
Doomcock's video was pretty damn profound.
And ironic today being well, anyway, yes, happening on a Friday so that everybody goes into the weekend, for those of us that have been at this for a while, celebrating in a way, but realistically, just I don't know. Doomcock's video was very good, but it's also very upsetting if you're someone that still is invested in Paramount. You should have already basically sold off anything you had by now.
Well, we had said previously that they were in serious trouble.
Yeah.
And you can see it. They're struggling. And
let me modify what I said and say Paramount and CBS. Because it isn't just Paramount, it's CBS too. So.
Yeah, and we heard that there was an offer, and Sherry Redstone declined to even consider it.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do. The only serious one out there, it seems, is Skydance.
Yeah. Well,
so Skydance with Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Wanting two different things. At this point, what you have is Skydance wanted Paramount, and Warner Brothers wanted Star Trek.
What?
And Say what?
No, I'm just going, what? And they turned it down?
Both are getting ready to just turn it down because turns out that both Paramount financially is in a much worse place than anybody
had
knows.
realized.
Well,
But you and I had said they were in trouble.
Yes.
Well, I heard about that. PBS was doing fundraisers for them.
They're writing checks with their mouths that their asses couldn't keep.
Yeah, they are not bringing in enough money yearly now to cover even their debts.
And at this point, how much have they spent on new Star Trek?
Oh, geez, God. They haven't spent as much as one would think, and that would explain the reason why they've been doing all this stuff with Kurtzman. Kurtzman has the ability to be able to go out and find other people to help finance. And by helping finance, what we actually mean is to take the main financial burden and basically allow CBS to basically do as little as possible. Without all of these additional sources, without what Kurtzman has been going out and getting people to do, a lot of these shows will not happen. That explains the reason why he makes all these announcements, and they're very slow to actually put any series out there. CBS is not acting like a regular network at this point. If NBC, ABC, heck, even Fox were to announce a show, it would be on by that fall. CBS makes announcements, Kurtzman makes announcements, and you hear nothing. You know, one would think that given his original plan to put as much Star Trek out there as possible, that he would be jumping at the opportunity to be able to get Starfleet Academy up there without having to cancel Discovery. And understand something. While a lot of people are basically celebrating Discovery's only lasted 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And not that many episodes. Seriously.
No.
5 years, very few episodes for 5 years. In fact, if you were to actually look at all of the episodes they've done, I would say compared to Next Gen, DS9, and Voyager, they have about a season and a half, maybe 2 seasons worth.
They've literally taken the model of what Star Trek was known for, especially with TNG and DS9, but 26 episode series, an hour long, 45 minutes, however you want to call it. And they've dumbed it down to like almost miniseries style with a huge budget that's almost, 2-3 times the amount of what we got from TNG and DS9. And they've delivered 1/3 of the quality in storytelling because they've done more virtue signaling in it with trying to be Star Wars and Marvel rather than going out for the betterment of mankind and actually trying to teach sub-layered messaging. They don't do that anymore. Star Trek has now been hit by a meteor, and Kotaku is then writing their scripts because they're both failing miserably.
And now what you have is the value of the entire company is just so bad. Basically, Skydance has been going through the books, according to Doomcock, and things are a lot worse off than when Zaslav took over Warner Brothers. And if anybody takes on or buys Paramount at this point, you've got a bigger mess to clean up than what Zaslav had for Warner Brothers.
Yep.
Okay. Now, that's not counting Star Trek. Star Trek individually, there are so many contracts attached to Star Trek that if you just bought the Star Trek IP, you are going to have problems. There's a lot of contracts out there that they put together, so you'll be responsible for these contracts and helping to fulfill them before you can do anything else with it. So basically, Kurtzman and Kurtzman himself has basically ended Star Trek. Because Skydance
and I do want to let you know, though, before we continue here, that this segment was brought to you by Alex's Captain's Log.
Oh my God.
This is the creative process by which he makes Star Trek.
The thing at this point is that whoever buys the Star Trek IP is going to have a lot of money to be able to get out from under all these contracts, because really the only thing left to do is just to pay. That's really the only thing left to do is just to pay out all these contracts, starting with Kurtzman's, because Kurtzman's let it be known that unless he gets his way on what he wants to do, you're going to have to buy him out.
Yeah, I don't understand this. That Sherry Redstone had an opportunity to get rid of him and feared what the expense would be, clearly. But look how much it's cost them keeping him.
Mm-hmm.
They should have pulled the Band-Aid off.
It's cost her family's company, because that's really what this is about. She is selling her shares in the company that her family built, which means that whoever buys her out will have a controlling interest in that company and thus take over both CBS and Paramount. Skydance is only interested in Paramount. They are not interested in running CBS. They're willing to, that is really how their deal is set up. They're not offering money for the whole thing. They just want what they want. And that's the reason why Warner Brothers wanted to buy Star Trek. You had a lot of people going, well, I just don't see how they can do both. Warner Brothers can't have it because wouldn't that have to be with the rest of Paramount? No, it doesn't. You can split it up. In fact, things are so bad, the best thing to do would probably be to just piecemeal out all of this stuff. That's how bad things are.
I would sell Trek for the highest amount that someone wants it for, and let's see what that studio does with it.
And that's what Warner wants. Warner wants that. They want Star Trek.
Oops, sorry.
And they would absolutely poo-poo current Trek. They would just put it in more.
Yeah. That's the only way to do it.
Never see it again.
You can't do anything with Kurtzman Trek. The best that you can
do. It has no value.
Yeah, it has no value with Kurtzman Trek.
No current value, no long-term value.
Basically, all of you fans of Kurtzman Trek, all you fans of STD, all you fans of Strange New Worlds, all you fans of all of these shows.
Keith. Fan.
No, I know people that are fans of this stuff.
No, fan. It's not plural. It's just fan.
All of you who happen to really like this stuff basically the reality is it's done. There is no coming back from this. There will be no reunion movies. There'll be nothing because of the amount of money that will have to be paid out in order to get Star Trek back to any profitability. You just can't do it anymore. So this is the long way of saying, how Disney took the Willow series out back and decided to end it by telling it to look.
Yeller?
Yeah. Kurtzman Trek is gonna get that treatment.
Don't forget Lower Decks. That was
all of it goes. Yeah. Anything done under the Kurtzman Trek model and an era of him doing things is done. It is done. It's over.
I say let's set up a crowdfunding so Keith can buy off Star Trek.
Yeah, that would serve. I would only do it if I could at least get enough money together to happily pay off Kurtzman and tell him to take a flying leap. This guy has true. I mean, if there's been any people that didn't think he could do it, he's basically killed Star Trek. Basically, I should say he's killed his version of Star Trek. Okay? Star Trek as an idea created by
the original Star Trek will live on.
Yeah.
Past him. And if it ever comes back at all, it will be remembered because of Star Trek between 1960s and the 1990s, going into the very early 2000s.
Well, 2005, really. 66 to 2005. If you want to include Enterprise, it's 66 to 2005.
Enterprise is not the best of the of any of the shows, but it still has its moments.
Oh, it's upstairs, downstairs compared to what's been going on with Kurtzman Trek.
It's a clown show. It's all it is now is a clown show.
And again, I don't see anybody really try to defend this because financially it is a complete bust. And I'm really not seeing how anybody could defend that now, because it's not going anywhere. It's not going to do anything. Kurtzman knows it. That's part of the reason why he's upset. I'm surprised they're still working on this Section 13 movie. And again, there's
Section
no
31.
way. Section 31. I don't care about it.
I don't know how much of that's true.
No, they've spent money to make something, and they've gotten pictures for something. They've made something. It's just where are they going to show it? Because they're not going to show it on Paramount Plus, because there's no money to be made if you do that. So they have to find somebody.
So we got Read by Nature saying whatever happened to Kurtzman's old writing partner, Orsi, and
he's been retired.
He got screwed over.
Yeah.
They screwed him completely over. Alex Kurtzman personally screwed him over.
Yeah.
To get because what he helped create with Discovery was different than what we got.
Yeah.
So let's see. The truth is, Sherry may not even want anything to do with it anymore.
She doesn't.
She's done. She wanted to come back because that's why we got excited back in, what was it, 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
We were excited by what she was wanting to do. She was wanting to make CBS the great network again by bringing back Star Trek in the right way. But the problem was we had people in charge and a contract Les Moonves gave Alex Kurtzman that ended up in, and you kind of get it here, right here in this comment by Destiny's Captain. The issue is the entanglement of the contracts. It was a single contract with Alex Kurtzman that screwed the pooch. And it became so difficult that they saw such a high expense for it that they just decided to sort of wait it out. But the problem was in the waiting out, like I said previously, it cost them more than what it would have cost them to just pay him off and get rid of him.
Basically, there is no future if Kurtzman. Let me put it to you this way: as of right now, whatever current contracts that are out there, whatever needs to be filled out, as far as something like Strange New Worlds or any of the other shows, that means the brunt of the financial responsibility will be on the other party, depending on how that contract was written. Meaning that whoever is co-financing Strange New Worlds is going to have to basically financially take over making that show. And that is Amazon, from what I've heard. If Amazon doesn't want to continue to do it, they're done. All of it's done. Because it's different entities financially have contributed to different shows. Star Trek Prodigy was being financed by Nickelodeon, and they only had 2 seasons, maybe 3 seasons, and they're done. So any show that is currently outside their contract, or they need to re-sign everybody, that's not happening now, because there's no money. Nobody's got any money to pay them if you sign them up for any more. Paramount can't do it. CBS can't do it. It really is done. And so Kurtzman will go down in history as the guy that killed Star Trek. He can't, and that's part of the reason why I think he was upset. That things are so bad financially, nothing can be done. And now the rumor was he tried to go out and get people to give him money, put together a consortium of people to go buy Paramount or buy Star Trek. He couldn't even do that. Personally, I think he just wasn't willing to spend his own money. He might go broke doing it, but he could at least own Star Trek. He's not even willing to do that. That lets you know what he thinks about it.
He thinks of the value of Star Trek. There you go.
So,
by the way, I do want to say, Luis Feliciano said, "You're welcome," with a heart. Been here for 2 years since you guys did the William Hurt tribute live stream.
Wow.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. Glad you're sticking around, man.
Yeah.
So let's get this to a wrap up.
Yeah. So ultimately, everything that CBS has in terms of any real value is wrapped up in their IP of stuff that they own, meaning Hawaii Five-0, Gunsmoke, Murder, She Wrote, Magnum PI, a lot of classic shows and series going back decades. That is worth something. CBS, as it currently stands, I really don't know how they're still going. Paramount, as a actual working studio, has value. So anybody that wants to buy Paramount, you're really wanting that. And then you have their catalog of films. And then, as an IP, Star Trek. But all of that is expensive. Even when you try to strip stuff out, Star Trek is really expensive even by itself. So as of right now, nobody can afford to buy them out in its entirety. You're going to have to strip it. All of it's just going to have to be stripped. And this is a mess.
It is.
But Skydance has let it be known, according to Doomcock, according to the rumor, if Skydance should somehow pull this off and buy Paramount, they've let it be known on the down low. They are firing every single woke person within that company, starting with Abrams and Kurtzman. They are getting rid of all of those people.
Good. No offense. I don't think anyone should lose their jobs. I know it's unfair, but it comes down to the higher ups that screwed up for all the guys underneath, and that's what's happening. Well, they have had enough years to get this franchises in some type of direction. They could have even plagiarized the older series and tried to take stories from that and repurpose them, but they didn't. They just constantly tried to make cinematic features in an hour-long episode with crying, complimenting hair, and sonar in space. Please, sir, remove thy head from thy ass.
If I were a shareholder, I'd be beyond mad right now. I'm surprised nobody's put a head out on Kurtzman or any of these people.
Hold on.
Allegedly.
Anyway, that's where it is. It's totally in shambles. Look, if you got any lint in your pocket, see if Paramount will take that. That's how bad things are right now. So
we got a super chat here from I'm trying to fucking show it. $2 Canadian from our good friend Zach's. How much passion is still out there for Trek? A lot. Classic Trek will always be loved.
I'll tell you this much. If Warner Brothers were to buy it, as I said on one of our previous shows, one thing that they could do almost immediately is bring in J. Michael Straczynski and have him run it. And he'd probably do it because he's that big of a Star Trek fan. He would do it. Now, I'm not talking about the quality of what he would produce. I'm not going to say anything else other than the fact that as a fan and an experienced showrunner, someone who's actually created great entertainment on his own, he'd be at least better than a lot of names I could think of to do that. And he'd have passion for it, which is the important thing. You could find a lot of people to do this in the future, but how many people would be passionate enough? And JMS has that passion.
Yep. Now, as a thank you video for the $2 super chat, this one is one of the few moments I enjoyed from Picard season 3.
Hopefully we have enough juice to get us there.
What makes you think there hasn't already been destroyed?
Data, could you try being a little more positive?
I hope we die quickly.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Kurtzman, because the best thing you ever had your name on, and you killed that too. So
He wanted
thank
the
you.
legacy. He got it.
Oh wow. So
What?
yeah, you can go on to social media and basically start hashtag Kurtzman killed Trek.
He died on
KKT.
that platform. He died on that platform.
This is why making shows for normies doesn't work. If you want a large IP, they will not buy multiple items to have, like, if you put out like different covers, different box sets of things, They're not going to, normies won't go out there and spend that kind of money. They won't buy the merchandise. They won't go see a movie multiple times. Normies don't do that. And when you begin to market your product to them, you're killing your own fucking property.
Yep. Especially if
You
you
need to
divide the fan
gear
base.
your property towards those who you know spend the money.
Yep.
And I don't want to be the one that says this, but the only group of people who will spend that kind of money religiously.
That's it.
That's who does it.
That's it. That's really it right there. I mean, you know, Gerry has pretty much hit that nail right on the head. You gotta market towards the people that are fans. You gaslight, and that's the other thing. They have gaslit the Trek
It is a
fans.
form of gaslighting. It really is.
Yeah, you've gaslit the fans so badly that you've hurt the entire IP.
Yep.
I mean, even Kathleen Kennedy's gotta like stand up and applaud how badly Kurtzman has done. I mean,
give us the process, says Vinkman's process. Hobbitses. Anyway, that's ludicrous. King's Porkhouse says
Luda.
It would never work.
the windows to the walls, my friend.
Balls to the wall. I've done that, and I'm going to tell you something. That wall is cold.
Oh.
That's why there's all that shrinkage. Just to let you know in advance. I've said it for a long time. They took what they wanted and didn't listen to the fan at all over Star Trek and Star Wars. No. They've killed the IPs.
Yeah.
Disney is so bad now that people are just turning away. I'm turning away.
They're shareholders.
Once they pulled this shenanigans, and look, I was not getting my hopes up.
Yeah.
Over I wanted him to win, but I knew he wouldn't win. I knew it was going to turn out the way it did. And it's just I don't know what to do, man. What are you going to do?
No.
If you care, you're going to give yourself a stroke.
Yeah.
So you just kind of sometimes you just got to let go of things for a while. If you love something, set it free. If it loves you back, it'll return. And that's how I stand with this.
In the meantime, you have your physical media.
That's right. I've got the things I love.
Well, physical media is now gone. It's now replaced by lawnmowers at Best Buy.
Now I'm going to tell you something about Universal. They put a lot into the basket with James. What's his name? Bloomhouse. Bloom.
Yeah.
Jason Bloom. He's a woke idiot. And, he loves girl bosses. That dude loves to make stuff with girl bosses. He really does. He likes to focus on female leads, making men relegated to background characters. And you guys can love him all you fucking want to. I know what he is, and I don't like him. His Invisible Man movie was moronic at best. At the best, it was moronic.
Mm-hmm.
The writing in it was just atrocious. The fact that he had to be sitting exactly a certain way with his hand holding the knife a certain way for her plan to work out was just unbelievable. It was ridiculously unbelievable. I hated that movie.
But you know what? I can respect though how he was still able to try to make this stuff for small budgets.
He's making it cheap.
Yeah. And
that's the thing that makes him good is he makes some money. That's all he's good for is making quick horror. I mean, he just remade Child's Play called Imaginary Friend and mixed in like some James Wan shit. That's all he did. Took some shit from James Wan, took Chucky and made a teddy bear, and boom, we got a whole new movie. Okay. And what am I doing? I'm not going to watch it. I don't give two shits for that stuff. I'll watch stuff from James Wan because I like James Wan.
Yeah.
But I don't like Bloom. I think he's a fucking idiot. Well, it's no secret from my logo. I love Fuzzy Door. After that, Fox did to Family Guy. McFarlane should leave Disney high and dry.
McFarlane's contract is with Universal, not with Disney, so he can do anything he wants. He's not
damn
really
Skippy.
Yeah, he's outside of their reach.
So. Yeah, and I've had my own frustration because I felt season 3 of Orville was thready at best. The writing was nowhere as good as season 2. And I was really shocked because he had so much time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are rules that he knows as a Star Trek fan. He's a Star Trek fan. That he had your senior officers both on an away mission on that planet with where they had the thing that would create false fake worlds and shit. And they end up in high school. It was enjoyable, but that annoyed me. I just felt like we deserved a better what could be a final season, and we got it. It was good. Look, I'm not gonna say it was bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I enjoyed it, but it was nowhere near as good as season 2. The only bad episode of season 2 was the holdover from season 1, and that's what's his name? The Klingon-like character, Ortis.
Oh, Mortis, yeah,
Ortis. His porn addiction, and I thought that was funny as fuck, but they took the C story and made it the A story. When the C story, that planet they were trying to rescue, that should have been the A story, and they flipped it, and it was just weird. It was off-putting. I kind of enjoyed the Ted series, but it got kind of dumb a few times. Made me chuckle. You know, I hope they get a second season. I hope they do.
Yeah.
And just even though it's Seth, it's Peacock, and I just don't see them producing much good until they get their heads out of their asses, because that's what we've got right now. Studios, networks. Oh, something just opened on me and shut everything down.
Oh. You know what? I'm happy that Seth. Oh, it says here, I like how the stories over the seasons of the Orville have built on themselves. Seth says it's not dead. It's great that he says that, but here's the thing: Seth would have to get money from Disney. Okay, and as of right now, I don't see that happening. You know,
nope.
If Disney and Iger were really big about the Orville, they would have made that a priority.
Yeah.
And they haven't. So.
And I don't see them doing it right now because Disney's in trouble right now.
Yeah.
Financially. And somebody said, oh, well, Star Wars made money. I'm like, it is still not made money. They have, like, every time they make one of those things, they have doubled or quadrupled the budget of what it originally was set out to be. And so therefore, there's no way they're in the black. They're absolutely in the red with Star Wars. And we know now they lost over 135 million on Indiana Jones because somebody got a hold of their tax record.
Well, that's easy. When you make stuff in the UK, you have to file taxes, and you can find those records. Well, it turns out there's a lot of stuff that's happening right now. Marvel is moving a lot of their future films overseas, and one of the places they're doing it is Britain, which means we'll be able to find out exactly how much money they're spending for a lot of these upcoming movies.
What we've heard about Eugene Roddenberry is that he's not happy with things, but he's powerless to do anything.
Yep. He doesn't have enough money to undo this.
Yeah. He's been one of the big pushes over at the Gene Roddenberry Museum thing. And some of the great stuff they've done over there. You've seen some of the CG work they did where they brought Spock back to go to see Kirk's grave. And some of the past elements where they showed characters that you saw in the original pilot, bringing them back. Oh, I loved what they did. It's gorgeous.
They're gonna have to,
and they also added all the 3D walkthroughs on the bridge and shit like that. Just fucking amazing, and that's what he's directly involved with. I'm certain that he would love to be a part of Star Trek again as far as television. but that's not going to happen until Alex Kurtzman and J.J. Abrams have their hands cut off from it.
I'm sure he's regretting working so closely with Kurtzman, because Kurtzman's going to be a real for the next few years. His involvement with Star Trek and having killed Star Trek off, for right now, shouldn't endear him to anybody, especially to Rod, because Rod wanted to, his whole thing is about keeping his father's legacy alive, and Kurtzman has done the exact opposite. I personally think that she should just go through and get rid of all of the Kurtzman stuff, or at least relegate it to its own area with it under Star Trek. Meaning, you have your Kelvin timeline. There should also be Kurtzman Trek, and that it shouldn't be made part of the main thing anymore. It should be kept separate. That way,
yeah, and it's like anybody who because they started this thing with Star Trek in 2009, which you had the Kelvin timeline and the Prime timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And Keith and I were going, that's still not Star Trek.
Yeah, it's still not the original timeline.
You're not talking about classic Trek when you say Prime.
Yep.
And I got into a fight with a Star Trek writer who tried to say it was, and he acquiesced and just shut up, and he stopped talking to me because I shut him down. I said, you're using the word Prime. Well, it was mentioned in Star Trek. It's a different fucking meaning. It's mentioned in two different factions in the original Trek.
Mm-hmm.
And it has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. And that you're saying that as a Star Trek writer makes you look really stupid.
Yep.
Prime. The Prime timeline has to do with the Star Trek where they're trying to say it's still but the fact is it's still Kelvin. No matter what they say, it's still Kelvin. If it is not the William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy world where they're playing the characters with the original uniforms and that original Enterprise, it is not Star Trek.
That's right. And they've admitted changing it. Goldsman has already admitted that the stuff they're doing on Strange New Worlds, anything that contradicts what the
there's a theory about First Contact as well as because there's elements within Enterprise that touch on that too, which Keith and we dedicated a whole episode talking about that.
Yeah.
That very subject, Michael.
It is now something to where it is separate. And that fan theory about how First Contact was really creating a whole new timeline at the end of the movie because Picard and the crew didn't erase the memories of the people that they interacted with in the past. And so everything that happened when they got back to their quote-unquote original timeline, or at least their proper time, becomes part of a new timeline, not only affecting the Next Generation characters, but affecting all stories from that point forward, meaning DS9, Voyager, everything from that point changes. It's part of a brand new timeline that is retroactive and includes Enterprise.
All right, we need to say some greetings here. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we are running out of time.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about a couple of things. We got to get into it. So first of all, welcome our RRTNZ. Absolutely, we're getting ready to talk about Joe Flaherty. And of course, welcome James to the show. I hope everybody's having a good Friday. And I want to point out that I've been keeping up with this news, and it's so nice that Scotland backed down with J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
And not arresting her, because that would have been egg on their face if they had done it. They still got egg on their face. They look so stupid right now with this shit. Using identity politics is such horse shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm ashamed of Scotland right now because I'm Scottish too. And I just feel like just I'll take my Scottish and walk away and stick with the Irish. And the Irish are in trouble right now. However, identity politics is all over the British Isles.
Yes, however, there's some light at the end of the tunnel, seeing that that app they created in Scotland to denounce hate speech is being used to denounce the hate speech of the Prime Minister of Scotland.
Oh, irony! You are so ironic.
Wow.
Irony is ironic. So yeah, look, it's all going to nip him in the bud. That, or we're going to see the absolute collapse of society in on itself because these idiots, people who are firmly planted and based, had better start standing up against these people, politically and socially. We can't let these people keep railroading us into this shit. But the next thing and the last thing I want to talk about is so important. Is we lost Joe Flaherty this week. I mean, my goodness, 2 deaths, one right after the other. We lost Louis Gossett Jr., and now we've lost Joe Flaherty. Joe Flaherty is such a phenomenal comedic actor, but he never got the stardom that many of his friends got. But we all knew who he was. If you loved that kind of comedy, you knew who Joe Flaherty was. So here's this little video news segment I really wanted to check
News
out.
in the buzz this morning, the death of another Second City alum, Joe Flaherty. He died Monday after...
And of course, he's referring the other one being Harold Ramis.
A brief illness. Cause of death was not revealed. He spent 7 years here in Chicago at Second City, working with comedy icons like Harold Ramis and John Belushi. Flaherty may be best known as...
And of course, previously, John Candy.
As one of the founding members of the legendary SCTV comedy series, where he became known for characters like network boss Guy Caballero and the vampire TV host Count Floyd. Later generations would recognize him.
Yeah, he played the personality who ran SCTV, this fake Caballero character. And then everybody that loved SCTV loved Count Floyd. That shit was fun.
As the heckler on the golf course in Happy Gilmore, or the old-fashioned father in TV's Freaks and Geeks. In a Zoom chat yesterday, I talked with SNL legend Dan Aykroyd, who remembered his longtime friend and one-time Second City alum.
Well, yes, not only was he a beautiful performer, a writer, and comic actor and character actor in his own right, he was such an influence on that generation of Second City performers. He was my teacher. He was Gilda's teacher, Candy's teacher, Murray's teacher. All of the kids who came out of that era were taught by Joe Flaherty and Del Close. And Joe was, had just great instincts and was one of the greatest instructors I've ever had. And everyone, he was universally beloved.
Joe Flaherty was 82 years old. We'll have more coming soon with Dan Aykroyd. He's going to be...
I love Joe Flaherty, and one of my favorite things that he did was he played one of the Russian Czechoslovakian guards, where the other guy is actually speaking real Russian, while he spoke just utter gibberish. He throw occasional real words in. It's funny to see. They were the gate guards in the movie Stripes. If you've never seen that, that's one of the funniest parts of the film. And Joe Flaherty was so good on SCTV. As Guy Caballero, the owner and manager of SCTV, infuriating the cast. Any thoughts, Keith?
You know what? For me, he may not have attained the heights that a lot of other people did, but you know what he really was one of the best character actors, comedic actors that you could ever put in any movie. You could put him in any type of film and he'd be funny if that's what's required. He could also be heartwarming. He could be genuine. He could be anything you wanted him to be. For me, my favorite Joe Flaherty appearance in any movie was his appearance in Back to the Future Part 2 and Part 3. Him showing up basically at the end of Part 2 in his role as the guy that had to deliver the message from Western Union to Marty. And making the most out of that part, because he even himself said that there are still people that came up to him talking about that.
Yeah.
And again, all the parts that he's played, whether it be SCTV or Happy Gilmore or Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, I can go through a list. Let me go through a list of what he's been in since SCTV. He's in 1941. I love that movie.
Yeah.
He's in The Lady in Red,
Oh,
Used
geez.
Cars with Kurt Russell,
Forgot that.
Stripes. He's in Heavy Metal as the lawyer general with
Mhm.
Hanover Fisk. That was great. That was a great scene. Going Berserk. Johnny Dangerously, which is a great comedy. Let's see, Club Paradise, a Robin Williams film. It's a good. I love that film. One Crazy Summer. Who
Love
doesn't
that.
love that fucking movie? In that film, he plays General Raymond. In
Mhm.
it. Let's see, Inner Space. He played the waiting room patient.
Mhm.
Let's see. Not that good. Speed Zone. That's a good film.
Yeah.
Back to the Future, of course, 2 and 3. Stewart Saves His Family is a stupid movie, but his scene is funny as shit. He's, of course, plays Donald, the annoying guy on the golf course in Happy Gilmore.
Mhm.
Let's see. I'm going to skip that one. Slackers. National Security. Let's see. Home on the Range. Animated film. He's also in Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
Yeah,
And
but
he
his
play
scene,
and he
his
was
scene was cut.
was it?
Yes, that scene
Oh,
was
yeah,
cut.
it's a deleted scene. Yep, I see that now. And he's also in Phil the Alien as the beaver voice.
Mhm.
The guy was in so much. I mean, well over 100 TV shows and films.
You know what? As a parent, I have to mention Follow That Bird. He was in that movie. And
Oh, Sesame Street movie, yeah.
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 I mean, just the guy just did it. He did it all. And he could do anything. Again, he could do anything you wanted him to do. That's what made him a perfect character actor. That's
Yeah, I
exactly
took
what
my
a character
son to
actor
see
should be.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took Ben to see that. It's a good flick.
Oh, people are going to be. Look, for those that didn't know Joe Flaherty, in a way, I kind of envy you because now you get to discover who this guy was. And you probably have seen him in movies and didn't realize who you were watching. But yeah, there's just no replacing someone that is that versatile and able to just do whatever. It's rare that you can find a singular talent that was just really.
And he really was one of the founding forces behind SCTV.
Yeah. Well, Script Doctor knew him personally. And
I asked him to join us today, but he's in the middle of a trip.
Yeah,
so he couldn't join us.
But he again was just so good and so funny that making SCTV, many people just thought he was Canadian, and he's actually from Pittsburgh. So,
Flaherty? I thought he was from Canada.
No, he's from Pittsburgh.
Oh, it is. It's Pittsburgh. Yeah, just looking at it. Wow, he's like the only member of SCTV that wasn't from Canada.
Well, no, there's a lot of people that were originally from Canada. It's just that
Candy, Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hara. I think they're all Canadian, and I just assumed he was too. But he's from Pittsburgh. That's crazy.
It's going to be a long time before anybody even comes close to doing what Joe Flaherty was able to accomplish. And again, as you saw in that clip with Dan Aykroyd, to also be someone that helped to teach such talent as Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray and others, to be that guy that taught them. Wow. That's testament. That is the testament. You don't really need to be out front if you've got that as part of your legacy.
Yeah. Here's a clip of him and John Candy, two guys that we lost from SCTV.
I'm Guy Lafleur. I'm Daryl Sittler. And I use a Daryl Sittler hockey stick. I use Daryl Sittler hockey stick. Cut! Take two. I'm Guy Lafleur. I'm Daryl Sittler. And I use a Daryl Sittler hockey stick. I use Guy Lafleur hockey stick. Hey, Guy, how about some cornerbacks, eh? All right, sure thing, Daryl. Oh, boy, I bet these are good, huh? Oh, yeah. Real malt flavor. Smells good, too. Mm-hmm. Well, I can't see these things. All right. I'm sorry. They're right on my gums. You lose your plate, Daryl? Yeah, I lost my plate in Boston. You lost your dentures in Boston. Why don't you push it down with some milk and mush it into your puss? That's right. Cornerbacks, take 3. I'm Guy Lafleur. I'm Daryl Sittler. And I use a Daryl Sittler hockey stick. I use a Guy Lafleur hockey stick. Hey, Guy, how about some cornerbacks? An excellent idea. All right, eh? Let's try some of this. Oh, it looks yum. Sure is. It smells so good, too. See what's going on? It's got bourre de sang. Some French. I was speaking this because it's a bilingual country. It is not bull, my friend. It's one language.
Oh my god, that shit's great.
Oh wow.
What a loss, man. If you have never seen him do the Count Floyd, it's some of the best, man. But anyway, we lost him, and of course, yes, we lost Louis Gossett Jr. too. On Monday, I did on Military Monday, I did an officer and a gentleman. Yeah. And it's kind of funny. We had like a hate comment left. I just deleted it after I like sent the guy a message, like going, "If you don't like something, don't fucking watch it." He didn't like my humor. Look, I care. But we put out some really good information, trivia about that. But I also said some effed up things that were funny, like the scene where Sergeant Foley is breaking Mosley. It's Mosley, right? Isn't there his name? What was his name? The soldier that he's training in now. What is his character's name? I forgot.
The part played by
Richard Gere. I forget the character's name, but anyway, he's breaking him down for that final big breakdown moment. And I like made the comment. I said, and the way he was able to strain and make those noises and act like it was hurting so much this is when he had the gerbil in his belly.
Ooh. Oh, jeez. You didn't.
Mayo, that was it, Mayo.
Yeah, Zach Mayo.
I did. And everybody laughed. It was just like, it was funny. It's a fucked up thing to say, but that's what I do. It's my job. Say fucked up things. Wow. So, but we're celebrating him again tomorrow. Tom and I are going to be doing Enemy Mine with Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr.
Wow.
Wait, what's going on here?
What happened?
What happened?
Something happened to Mombi?
No. Is that James said that he woke up to an earthquake? And Mombi asked for him if he was okay.
Wow. Well,
I've been through a few earthquakes. It's fun.
Yeah. He heard the earth move.
I live in Mexico. What do you think?
Oh yeah. See, even Anima defends my joke. Good moment. It was a perfect moment. But we're going to be doing Enemy Mine tomorrow. Going to be coming with some trivia information about it, and we did some research because I remembered, and somebody else remembered, and Keith, you also remembered that there was some legal stuff about that film with Louis Gossett saying that there was more damage done to his eyes, and I can't find any of those articles now. Wow. And I remember back in the 90s that popping up when the internet was new and fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And it can't find it anywhere. All we found was 2 articles where it's mentioned about the discomfort and problems he had with the lenses, and nothing posts that, because it was in the 90s when we heard about it. I remember it happening.
Yeah.
And I do not believe in the Mandela effect. I absolutely am certain that we saw that. I don't know if they settled or what, but can't find anything on it. 4.8, yeah, it's pretty small. My first earthquake I ever went through was when I was in Davis, California, and I'm sitting there at my desk going, like, what is that? Why do I feel funny? And I look to my right, and the blinds in the window are smacking back and forth. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I thought, is there wind or something? So then I opened the blinds and looked out in the swimming pool. The water was sloshing back and forth in the swimming pool right outside my window. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm in an earthquake.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Wow.
Well, Taiwan got one. Then there was aftershocks. I think they hit Japan. New York
10
had
point,
one not
was
so
it
long ago.
10.5? Was that it?
I thought it was 8.4 or something.
Something like that. Let me go look it up real quick. I saw something about it. It was huge. And I saw the videos from the streets there in Taiwan, and it's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they were really concerned in Japan because they showed the receding tide lines. We got a video of that. 7.4 magnitude.
7.6 says Eclay.
Well, I'm here on, it's CNN because, they're terrible at news. Let's go to a legitimate news source, like Reuters. Not available. Oh, well. Let's see what's available. NBC. Who gets their news from NBC? Jesus Christ.
NBC gets their news from NBC.
Can't trust NPR with anything.
It was about a 7.7 or 7.8, and I watched all the TikTok videos too, especially that building that collapsed in half right in the middle of the intersection and stuff.
That shit was nuts, dude.
And the bridge shaking and all traffic stopped. Yeah.
Saw that too, yeah. Crazy. Okay, Associated Press. Let's go AP. 1,000. What? Fierce earthquake rattles Taiwan, killing 9 and injuring more than 1,000 people. Let's see. I'm looking for. It's saying 7.4 on AP. And first thing they showed, one of the big photos is that building that broke in half and fell into the street.
Mm-hmm.
Some crazy shit, man. And one of the videos, I caught something that somebody sent from some of the Chinese I learned. Ni hao ma, ni hao ma, ni hao ma. The guy yelled, and I'm like, well, that's an odd. He's actually asking if she's okay in her own way. It's a non-used greeting in China, but I guess they still use it in Taiwan. Because in China, they use something more akin to asking if you've eaten. Have you eaten? What a weird way to greet, but that's how China. Weird.
That should say something.
So, let's see if I can find it.
Have I eaten?
And
yes, I have, and she was very grateful.
Let's see if I can find it again. Ni hao ma. Only 8%. If there's you don't ask how you are in Mandarin. You actually ask if you've eaten. Just found it here. It's like, how you doing? So I'm trying to find it if they've got it here. Ni sui jin is what you're supposed to say, which is basically you're asking, have you eaten? Is because ni hao is just not used anymore in formal China. No one gets news from other news sources anymore. They get it all from Twitter. It's true. But I took care of an elderly Chinese woman, and I had to learn some Chinese she spoke no English. So she would give me basic instructions to say things to me, and I understood what she needed, and then I would respond to her in the way I was told to respond to her. And it was kind of fun. Hi yao, bo yao, bang bang. It's an actual sentence. You never forget weird shit like that. It just pops back in. I don't know how my accent is. Anima hates when I speak German. Like, at least I know some German. It's not perfect. No gratitude for that. No. I think Keith has fallen asleep or left us. Keith, are you there at all?
I'm here. I'm doing
black guy stuff.
Black guy stuff. Okay.
No, I'm looking up that whole thing about the damage to Louis Gossett's eyes.
So. Yeah, you're not going to find anything because we did a deep search. We're going to try again before the show tomorrow, but I'm going to give up. We found 2 articles, one from the Chicago Tribune, and I forget what the other one is. It's another magazine. And so I'm just going to reference it through that. But there was an incident with the eyes after the film because he was having trouble with his eyes, continued problems. So it's even worse when Gerry tries to pronounce French words. It shit hurts my brain. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, it got me to the bathroom, which is what I was asking.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've been in other countries where I was able to get food and learn where the bathroom was and what time I needed to leave my hotel room. ¿Cuánto tiempo, por favor?
Yeah, that's not the right question.
Yeah, you're supposed to ask, like, if the housekeeper or somebody like that shows up, you go, ¿Cuánto tiempo, por favor?
¿Cuánto tiempo means how much time?
Yeah, how much time do I have before I leave?
Oh.
It's just something I was told to ask him when the housekeeping shows up. Like, when do I need to check out? And they said they will answer you. Like, go! Ow. I also learned when I was in Mexico that what I was taught to say of the basic greeting was wrong. And a young man named Beto told me that, yeah, the casual way to say it is to say, ¿Qué tal, mi amigo? ¿Qué tal? What up? I'm like, huh. So I took that away with me. And I love Mexico. But where I went to, I didn't go to the desert side. I was over in the Yucatan, the jungle side. I liked it over there.
It's very likable.
What the fuck is that creature, dude?
Which one?
Those weird looking feathered furred thing. What the hell are those?
Oh shit.
Has the Earth been invaded?
World's picture like SCP kind of X-Files.
So these are cryptids.
Cryptid, something like that, yeah. And they're gonna kick my ass if I don't get out of here. Ooh.
Speaking of getting out of here, we're done with the show. We talked about everything on the thumbnail best we could. There you go. That's the thumbnail. I am happy for J.K. Rowling that she stood her ground and they backed down.
For now.
She's just got to keep standing her ground, man. As long as you stand in the right of defending women, you got to defend women and stop letting men be better women. That's stupid.
Yeah.
So now you have it. And that's your, I don't know, moment of zen. Here's your moment of zen. He's making those logs. Keep drinking that coffee, Kurtzman.
And you know what he's going to do after? He's going to take a snap of those logs because of his ego.
Maybe. Anything else we want to add to the show, guys? Martin, Keith, anything? Steven?
No, I'm fine.
I think we've covered everything. Everything we were intending to.
Any more words of Peter Griffin?
Awesome.
time to get the hell out of here. So, I will say thank you again to everybody that's been here. Penny, of course, thank you so much. Andy Morrow, Admiral Teague, Don Power Ranger Power, Anima Confusa, love of my life, who tolerates so much from me. Sci-Fi Mombi, thanks a lot, man. We need to hang out sometime. E. Clay Thomason, Kingsport Cal, Read by Nature, Boosh McFadden, Dadman Walking was here, Zax, my good buddy Zax, Slasher Fred, Real Wade Nation Gaming Clips, the Peter Vinkman Fan Site, Luis Feliciano, James Kerstra, Destiny Captain, Michael Decker, Tim's Talk was here, of course, and of course, RRTNZ. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us for a couple hours. Hope you have a good Friday. Don't forget, Admiral Teague has his show coming up next, as well as Friday Night Tights, and then Friday Night Frolics with Hail Doomcock. Hope everybody has a great Friday. And just remember, Cubs win. Cubs win. Tin roof dead. That's no rock. That's a rock lobster.